The budget announcement will be made next Friday, and prior to that, we'll bring you a series of interviews with different groups on their wish list, the challenges they face, and their hopes for the future. Now, one area of concern, housing. And Mr. Ku Swee Yong from real estate agency Century 21 Singapore joins me to talk about Singaporeans' housing needs. Now, Swee Yong, what's the outlook for the housing market this year?
I think based on the data from the last few months, we can expect a very quiet and soft year this year. Transaction volumes for resale have tumbled, in particular more than 60%. New sales have gone down by 15% roughly last year, and I think in the next few months we are unlikely to see a lot of activities, even with developers pushing out new properties for launches. I'm not sure whether there will be any significant stimulus or impetus to push the market into another roaring year in terms of transaction volumes.
Right, so what do you think we should do this year then?
Then in that case, given that the market would be going sideways and prices may be trending down a little bit directionless, perhaps it is a good time for us, looking at this budget as well as for the authorities, to start to streamline some of the policy measures that were implemented in the last few years, because there were 9 sets of policy measures that were announced rather rapidly to curb
You're referring to cooling measures, right?
Yeah, the cooling measures.
Okay.
And these 9 measures, some of them seem to be a little bit like patchwork. And over the course of the last 3 to 4 years, with these 9 sets of cooling measures, some things have become a little bit cumbersome and complex, especially with regard to taxes. Taxes such as for a foreigner buying into property, how much must he pay in terms of additional buyer stamp duty? Would there be GST applicable depending on whether it's industrial, residential or commercial property? And then the property taxes themselves have started to become tiered. In the past, it was more of a flat tax system. If it was owner occupied, it would be 4%, rentals then it would be 10%. But today there's a staggering of tax rates, and although it is in a way intended to tax the more wealthy such that we can have more redistribution of wealth down to the lower income groups, but making the system a lot more complex actually adds to the cost of the whole industry in general, and in particular for real estate agents like us who are bringing clients around to look at properties. Today, we cannot safely estimate what might be a property tax that is required. We have to refer to a table.
But do you think it's done a lot of good for home buyers?
Actually, it has made the whole situation a little bit more murky. Home buyers who are calculating their expenses required, in this case property taxes, loan repayments and all that, the property tax portion is not flat anymore. What happens if in 2 years' time your property valuation goes up and then subsequently you cross into the next tier of the property tax bracket? So this tiering staggered tax system is actually not very helpful. It has added on to a lot more complexity, in addition to all these borrowing rules and restrictions on age and all stuff. So perhaps this budget, we take the opportunity during a quiet period where property transactions are not so active. Perhaps we should streamline, make things more simple, make Singapore more attractive as an investment destination due to our more simplified tax system.
Right, okay. Well, we also have a rapidly aging population.
Yes.
About 20% of Singaporeans will be 65 or older by 2030. What do you think the budget can do to help this group of people?
Yes, this budget would be coming in time to sort of support the draft master plan that was released at the end of last year. The draft master plan had incorporated already a little bit more recognition in terms of our greying society, so I'm pretty happy to see it. But with the budget this round, we could actually put dollars and cents to support the master plan. And for example, perhaps we should kick off now a more widely diversified healthcare support system for our aging population. The retirees shouldn't need to perhaps go to the nearest polyclinic. Perhaps decentralizing beyond the polyclinic level, we might have healthcare center, healthcare posts, ACA, neighborhood police posts set up all over the neighborhoods of Singapore to support our aging population. 1 in 5 of us will be more than 65 years old by 2030. And so that is a little bit of a concern in terms of logistics. But if we were to start planning today and start spending today, in the next 15 years, by the time we get there to 2030, we would be in good state.
Okay, so very quickly now, what do you think should be done to help the needy?
In terms of the needy, last year with a 6-month-long SG conversation on housing, we have realized that actually there are a lot of voices coming up from people who are disenfranchised, or maybe they are sort of caught between the gaps. And this needy category, we realized, I think, from the data that perhaps HDB should allocate a larger number of units of HDB flats that are not sold, but instead held by the Housing and Development Board for support of the needy, for families that are suddenly got themselves into trouble. Then they need a comfortable roof, home around them.
Over their heads.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
right. Thank you very much. That was Ku Swee Yong from Century 21 Singapore on how he hopes the budget can address Singaporeans' housing needs.